Welcome to Panda Creates Tutorials. I'm Panda and I am very excited to be a part of this new collaboration between myself and Anna from Kiss My Art by Anna. The new series is called Wing It with Anna, and the idea is that her Facebook group members issue her with challenges to make tumblers and resin art projects that she has never attempted before, and to attempt these live in her Facebook group. Now, she approached me and asked me if I'd like to collaborate with her and run support in the background by filming a step-by-step tutorial for any members that may want to make the same projects that she's attempted in her live videos. So that's what I am here for, and that is what it is all about. So our very first installment is what we are calling the Scattered Peekaboo. This was issued by one of her members. She will go live throughout this coming week at time of filming, and I'll be in the background filming a tutorial that any members can then come across and learn how to make it in a step-by-step style, rather than watching her live and trying to pick up what she's doing. We're trying to put all of the information and the tips and tricks in this one tutorial. Now, if you have stumbled across this video and have not yet become a member of her group or have never heard of her before, all of her links are down in the description. I highly recommend you go and watch it. She is absolutely fantastic to watch live, and this series is going to be a lot of fun. But the idea is behind it is that we both attempt stuff that she personally has never done before. Scattered peekaboos are something that I have done before, but not this way. So this is a little bit new for me as well, but we are hoping that as we collaborate, you can have a bit of fun watching whether she sinks or swims in her lives, and then you can come across and watch a more polished tutorial here. So we are doing the Scattered Peekaboo for number 1. The series in short is called WIWA, but it does stand for Wing It with Anna, and off we go. So this is the inspiration pic that was sent to Anna when the challenge was issued. This particular one was issued by Adriana in the group, and we're calling them a Scattered Peekaboo, but it's basically just a peekaboo but without the 2 coats of glitter, right? So if you have a look, it looks like the cup was already powder coated black, and it doesn't look like she's put any epoxy over the base. She's just gone straight to putting all of the decals for the peekaboo on, and then she's glittered over the top and lifted the decals. If you have a look, it doesn't actually look like she's put a top coat of epoxy on yet. But if you have a look, like, she's got all of her line work between the scales has been glittered, and then she has sections where she's just left out the scales completely, and that's how, see here, right? So obviously where the actual black mat is was where the decals were. Anything where there's glitter was where there was no vinyl, or the vinyl has, like, the vinyl's been lifted up off the mat. Same as with the leopard print. So we are calling it a Scattered Peekaboo, but neither Anna or I have done peekaboos where we've left the bases blank. So we are going to have a bit of fun with this. I do believe Anna is doing both the scales and the leopard print in her version where she does it live, and I'm just going to be working on the mermaid scales. Okay, so for my take on the project, I am using a 20-ounce skinny. I have already gone ahead and prepped my cup. Now, when I say I've prepped my cup, I mean that I've sanded it, I've washed it, I've let it dry. I then spray painted it white with the matte white from Australian exports from SuperCheap, and when that was dry, I went and created my base ombre. Now for this, if you can see, it is purple and teal. I used Rustoleum 2 times in the Lagoon, and Plum purple from Australian exports. Okay, so I applied a coat of both of those, and I got my, if you can see without the window reflecting, I got my blend going, right? Rather than keep it as a solid base and doing glitter over the top, I thought I would add my own little spin to it as we do. And I'm actually going to do the base in mica powders, epoxy over it, and then we're going to go from there. So to do my mica powders today, I am going to use Eileen's Tack It Over and Over. If you can see, I have it in a little container because I do mine at a 50-50 mix. I'm going to apply this to the cup. We'll let it dry, and once it's dry and tacky, we're going to go ahead and create the mica powders. I'm going to go ahead and speed this next bit up. I'm just using a little sponge brush for this today and just applying to the entire cup. Okay, so I have applied my 50-50 ratio of Tack It. When I say 50-50, I mean it's 1 part Tack It and 1 part water, and then I mix it really, really well together. So I'm just grabbing it. That's the Tack It. Whoop, wrong way. That's the Tack It. Right. And then I put it into here with the same amount of water. So I usually do 5 mils of Tack It and 5 mils of water. I mix it really well together with a paddle pop stick, and then I keep it in a container so that I can use it over and over again. But we have got our Tack It, so I am going to put this onto my little holder from DJ and Raw, and we are going to wait for it to dry. Now I will know that this is dry when I can't see white anymore. It does dry clear, but it dries tacky. If you've never used Tack It before, it dries tacky. It's actually the same glue that everybody uses to do the method where they brandish off the glitter to create that hollow effect. Same deal, but we're going to use mica powders. I'm using it strictly as an adhesive, so we won't be rubbing off the mica powders or brandishing them off. We're just using it as an adhesive today, but it is one of my favorites to work with when I'm doing mica powders. So when this is dry, we will be back and we will apply our mica powders. Alrighty, so we are all dry. As you can see, it's gone clear, but it's still tacky. So we are ready to put our mica powders on. Now I am using micas that are similar to the base spray colors. For the purple, I am using Anna's Passion Purple, right, from Kiss My Art by Anna. And then the Aqua or the teal, depending on, no, that's Aqua because it's got more blue. I'm using the Paper Mill one because Anna doesn't yet have, she's got one very, very similar, which is here, but it wasn't quite dark enough. So we are using the Paper Mill for this. And all I'm going to do is I've got 2 scrappy old paintbrushes that I use for mica powders. Let's do the teal first so that I can do the bottom. Oh look, when I opened the purple, I've got purple on it already. That's alright. And I'm just going to smush, for lack of a better word, smush the mica powders into the Tack It. It's actually a really good match. Ta-da! Isn't that pretty? Okay. I'm actually losing bristles out of this brush, so we'll see how we go. I might have to change paintbrushes. Yeah, I'm going to change brushes. Just finish putting this on first. Excuse me. Okay. We'll use this one. Because it is Tack It, if the bristles are coming off your brush, they're going to stick into. So I'm loading up, sorry, I'll move that. Loading up my brush, dumping it on the cup, and then moving it from there. And it may not be coming up on camera, but I can actually see where I've put the powder. Even though it's such a close match to the base color, I can actually still see where I've already put mica powders, because if you can see, it's got a pearly effect where the micas are, and obviously not so much. Okay. So this will be what shows up from underneath the glitter. I've actually done mica powders as the base before. I've done it as a top coat on a peekaboo, like over glitter. I'm not a huge fan of double glitter peekaboos. I just think they're a right pain in the butt. So I usually use mica powders or alcohol inks as my top layer, unless I get the request specifically to have double glitter. Yeah, I try to avoid that shit as much as I can. So and now I've lost my scissors. I need my scissors because they provide, hang on, I'm just gonna put the lid on my purple. Give that a good bash, and then we've got our teal. See how pretty that is? Okay, so I'm going to do exactly the same thing that we just did with the purple. Put on a little bit so that you can see the purple, and now this time I'm going to start from this side of the line and move up to the top. See how pretty that is? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and speed this up so that you don't have to watch me do the purple. Okay, so while editing, I discovered that I forgot to unmute my microphone for this part, so I've sped it up, and I'm just going to quickly explain to you what I was yabbering about. You're going to see in a second, I was just explaining, I usually use a purple and teal combo for my mermaids, but this cup I'm using a purple and aqua. There's the purple and teal that I usually use for my mermaid combos. I also forgot to mention at the beginning of the segment, when I say 50-50 for tacket, I mean 1 part tacket and 1 part water, and then I mix them together. That is why I... Alrighty, so our mica powder has been sealed. On my finger. We're sealed and we're ready for our first coat of epoxy, which is what I'm going to do now. I am using Diamond Coat from just Resin, which is a 1-to-1 ratio limited food safe resin. I have mixed up 15 mils to use today. Now this is a 20 ounce skinny. Usually I work it out that 20 ounces is about 20 mils for your first coat of epoxy, but because this has no glitter on it and it's just mica powders, I think I can get away with 15 because there's nothing to absorb the epoxy. So I'm going to go ahead, I've already pre-mixed it because watching people mix epoxy can be a little bit boring, and I am going to go ahead at double speed now and apply this resin. Okay, so that's twice now that I've forgotten to unmute my mic when I've recorded a section that I want to later speed up. So basically what I'm explaining in this section is that I've just gone ahead, applied the resin, hit it with my heat gun just to pop any little bubbles. It was 7 p.m. at the time that I filmed this segment, so I'm going to leave it turning until 7 a.m. the next morning. Turn my turner off then, and then I'm going to leave it another 12 hours until 7 p.m. to give it a full 24-hour cure, and then we will be back to put all of the vinyl on and we can start our peekaboo. Okay guys, we are back. Our tumbler has cured, has been sitting around. It's 10 to 7, so it's been about 24 hours, and she's ready to apply the vinyl. Now, the scale pattern that I have, that I use for all of my mermaid stuff, is actually individual scales, rather than like the pattern that has the lines. So when I trace and then release the compound path, I actually have the ability to reshape and reline the scales however I like. It was an 8x12 cut of vinyl here in my corners, just in case we need any extra scales. But my idea is, I think I wanted to have it wrap around the cup like that, so that I still have that space that's going to be fully glittered, in case when I sell it they want to add a name or anything like that. It just gives me an option to personalize, but the scales will wrap. Sort of like a gypsy leopard. If you've ever attempted a gypsy or seen a gypsy leopard, how it wraps, or even glitter swirls, that's what we're going to do with our vinyl. So I am using Cricut removable vinyl. I'll be honest, I don't like using Cricut vinyl at the best of times. I'm not a fan of it. I prefer to use other brands. However, for this project, we are using the Cricut removable vinyl simply because I had it on hand. And I usually prefer to use up my, because when I first started doing projects with vinyl, I was buying all of my vinyl from Spotlight, which is of course who stocks the Cricut brand. And then as I got more experienced and I started moving into being other brands of vinyl and whatnot, I still have a lot of it left over. So when I'm doing projects like peekaboos, where I know it's just going to come off anyway, is when I use the Cricut. But this is just the gloss white. Look, missed a scale. I think I may have cut my vinyl a little bit deep, guys, because it's not wanting to peel away. So that's, if you ever have a problem with getting the vinyl onto the transfer tape, or if the backing paper, if it does stick to the transfer tape but the backing paper comes off with it as well, it is usually because either you're cutting too deep, like your blade depth is too high, or your force is too high. Which I think may have been the case here. Sorry guys. Oh, no, we still got rows. I thought we were done then. I might edit this part out of the video, or I might leave it just to show you that I too struggle. Huh. I'm actually missing an entire scale, look. is my phone going buzz buzz? Potential fraud. You've got to love those calls. Because that's going to make me answer the phone when it pops up as potential fraud, isn't it? Oh, so close. We're almost there, guys. Yay! But we are... How strange. Is it stuck to my arm? Nope. How odd. There's just one... See, this is why I had the extra scales, just in case somewhere walkabout. There's just one scale. So I'm going to have to remember to, to replace that. Okay. Now, trying to do this and keep in frame will be the challenge, but here we go. Okay. Adjust my camera that way so that I'm in frame. And we're going to start around the top of the cup. I want the points of my tops of my scales. To line up the top of the cup. And then it should with my little tool just wrap. Oh, it doesn't go all the way to the base, but that is why we printed spare scales. I haven't actually done scales in a swirl wrap like this before. So this is also something that I have not tried before. And a quick tip, no matter what style of peekaboo you are doing, whether it's a double glitter or you're doing mica powders or inks over the top, this is actually the first time that I've put mica powders on the bottom with glitter over the top. Make sure you use removable vinyl. Using permanent vinyl you can, if that's all that you've got on hand, but I would not leave it for too long. I would... If you're going to use permanent vinyl, put it onto... Why aren't you sticking? You've got backing paper on you. Sorry, this scale, you see, had the backing paper attached to it. Anyway, if you can use permanent vinyl, but I would do so in a way where when you put it on the cup, you put it on the cup and you do your glittering or your alcohol ink or whatever you're doing for the top layer straight away, and then try and take it off as soon as possible. So it is possible to do. I just don't recommend it if you can get away with not doing it. I'm just going to fix this scale here because it didn't lay quite flat. Now, that is, move you up a little bit so you can see. Okay, so that goes around. Okay. So I'm just going to go through now. We're going to... I'm not even going to try and get the backing paper off that scale. That scale betrayed me. Take my transfer tape off because I'm not needing it. And then I'm just going to lift one scale off and put it where that one was missing. Okay, now I am going to go through now and just add my scales to this bottom bit, but I will speed it up because that will be a little bit boring, and then we'll be back and we'll be ready to do the glittering. Okay, now we're at the fun part. We get to play with some glitter. Now, originally I was going to spray paint what we've done white, and then do where the purple is, I was going to do the teal glitter, and where the teal is, I was going to do the purple glitter. Then when I was cutting the mermaid scales, I realised that I'd cut them in white. So I don't really want to go spray painting white spray paint over white scales because I'll never see them again. So we're going to stick with the purple on the top and the teal on the bottom, and I'm hoping that the difference between the glitter and the mica powders will be enough of a difference so that you can still see the effect that we're going for. But considering that the inspiration pick was black on black and it still looks beautiful, I am going to put my eggs in that basket. I'm going to place my bets that it will still look fine. So the two glitters that I'm using tonight are the metallic Aqua and the Cadbury purple. Both of these are from a lady that I call Linda B because I can't correctly pronounce her surname. Now, she used to only be found on the Australian Craft Buyers and Destashing group on Facebook. She'd pop up every now and then and do buy-ins. I have recently been made aware of the fact that she does have a Facebook group called Shaylan's Glitter. I'm going to leave the link to that group for any Aussies down in the description. Her glitter is absolutely beautiful. I started off buying off her when I started doing baubles because she sells in affordable bulk lots. And obviously when you're making hundreds of baubles every season, it really helps. But as you'll see, for tumblers, her glitter is still really pretty on tumblers, so I'm going to leave her link down in the description as well. It just so happens that this metallic Cadbury that I'm using of hers for this project, that and a teal one are the ones that you saw earlier on that mermaid glass that we did. They're just the two colours that I started doing my purple and teal combos with, and it's the two glitters that I've always used. So that is why we're using them again, but we're doing more of an aqua on this one than a teal. It's a little bit more blue because it matched the spray paint a bit better. And the Mod Podge that I am using is the dishwasher safe one. See, DWS Mod Podge. And it's Mod Podge, not Mod Podge or Slodge Modge. Mod Podge. And I just keep it in a little container because I buy the big gallon bottles and it's just easier to work with a little pot. So I'm going to go through and cover my whole project in Splodge Modge and Mod Podge. And I just want to get full coverage first, and then we'll go back through and make it all pretty and get rid of a lot of these streak marks. I'm just using an old paintbrush that I use a lot for Mod Podge. I do find that the more you use the same brush for adhesives, the harder they get. Like even if you wash them straight away, they still go hard. A way around that so that you're not buying paintbrushes all the time is before you start your project, which I did not do tonight, which is why it's a little bit stiff. Before you start your project, just soak it in water for 5 minutes or so and then dry it out with a paper towel, and that should soften the bristles enough that you can keep reusing. I mean, still wash your brush after you use it, but there will come a time where no matter how much you wash it, it's still going to dry hard. And this is a quick and easy trick to still be able to use the same brush. Now I'm not going to forget my butt. There we go. Okay, so what I'm then going to do is going from bottom to top. I'm just going to even that out so that we don't have any lumps or clumpy bits, but I still want it thick enough on the cup that hopefully, because it's going over the same base colour, making sure I'm getting in all of my little scale design really well. I'm hoping that I'll only need one coat of glitter, but we shall see. Time will tell. There we go. Okay, So anybody that's watched any of my videos before, you know that I don't like using, where are my baby wipes? Just going to clean up this Mod Podge. I don't like using dump trays or dump mixers or anything like that where it can be avoided. Obviously where I'm doing a glitter swirl or something like that, I can't really get around it. I'm just going to put that there and I'll clean that up later. Because wherever I put it, I'm going to get Mod Podge. Okay, so I'm going to use the sheet. We're going to do the teal first. What is going on there? Oh, you know what? I think this bit's all filled with water. That's what I think that is. Ah, how strange. There you go. Well, that's something that's never happened to me before. Okay. Now I'm gonna on my drop sheet. Okay. See guys, even when it's pre-recorded, sometimes there's just no way of getting around muck-ups. Because it's not as if I can go and see that and re-record. What I'm actually going to do is get my little sponge that I know is dry. Just try and... okay. So we're going to start with the teal first. I'm going to do that all around my butt because I want my butt to be solid. And then I'm going to go the whole way around, but only up to where, like, we had that blend with the ombre, which is about here. So I am aware that some scales are going to be like half and half, or a little bit of teal with a lot of purple or whatever. It's okay, that will all add to the effect of it at the end. Trying to get it. I usually have a pair of scissors on here. Oh, I'll use this. Just so I can do my little tappa. Okay, so there are some spots, right, where the Mod Podge dried a little bit too quickly. So we're going to have to go back through. I'm going to use one of my little DJ and Raw stands here so that I don't knock it over. Put all of my teal back and then do the purple. So I may end up having to go back and doing a second coat, which is okay. I was hoping that I wouldn't have to, but it is okay. We can deal. And lint rollers, guys. You buy the one lint roller and then you just keep buying the refills. It's a game changer in regards to cleaning up yourself and your workspace after using glitter, especially when you're using different colors and you don't want them to cross-contaminate. Okay. So now the purple. Isn't that gorgeous? I'm a little bit biased because purple and teal, or purple and aqua in this case, are my favourite colour combo for me personally. So every time I see them together, I'm just like, oh, it makes my heart so happy. anybody that saw it didn't end up making it to YouTube, but it was one of the very first lives that I did in Aussie Tumbler Makers. I actually did an easy way to do a plaid cup, and I used the same no! I used the same colour combo for my plaid cup. That's alright. I will scoop that up with my little glitter spoons later. And this, because if you're not in Australia, you don't probably have this problem at the moment, but we're in summer, and even though it's raining outside, it is really humid. So again, I have some spots that are drying. Just going to move that up because I must have knocked the camera. But yeah, it's going to need a second coat. But I'm really happy with that. So you can still see, we can still see our scales, right? So I'm going to let this dry, which should only take maybe 20 minutes, and then I'll be back to do the second coat. And then once that's dry, I'm going to spray seal it, and then I'm going to lift the vinyl off. So we will be back very soon for a second coat. Okay, so we are all dry. I actually decided against doing a second coat because as I was looking at it, the bits that show up are the bits that are going to be taken away anyway. But all of where we want to keep the glitter, like down the bottom, it actually has like decent enough coverage with the mica powder under the bottom where I'm not going to worry, because once epoxy goes over it, it's going to look just fine. So we're only doing one coat. I did start the top here, and I did a couple down the bottom here, just to try and figure out whether I was going to be using my scalpel blade or my weeding tool, because as you can see, especially, hang on, where the light doesn't shine, see that white spot there? I've actually managed to, with the weeding, like the Cricut weeding tool, I managed to take off enough where I took the vinyl off, and the epoxy that was underneath the vinyl, and the mica powder that was underneath that, and the blue spray paint. So we're back down to where I spray painted it white originally. I'm going to show you at the end when I do all of my touching up how you can fix little whoopsies like that most of the time. But I'm going to continue on now. We're going to start and do the purple. I am going to speed it up. You'll see me do a couple of rows of the purple all sped up, and then it's going to change to where I'm almost finished because I thought it would be really boring. But for this project, I am using just like a little scalpel knife, like a craft knife. Excuse me. And what I find the easiest way to do it is the sharp side, like this top side here, I want facing away from where I'm pushing. Okay, so I want to slide under the side of the scale like that, and then push down with the side that's not sharp. Okay, because if you go digging in with the blade side to where you want to remove, you're going to end up doing like what the weeding tool did down the bottom here, where you take off more than you intend to. So always make sure you're using like the blunt side of the blade that's in your knife. We're going to lift that up, and then I'm going to remove it with my fingers. You can use tweezers as well. As you can see, right, when I switched to this, I've had no issues. Okay, isn't that pretty? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead now and speed this up, and then I will be back with you when we've got all of our scales off. Okay, so all of my scales have been removed and we have our wrap. But as you can see, and To be fair, this was part of the Wing It with Anna series, so there are a couple of challenges that I have not yet come across before. One of them obviously was the fact that I've never tried to do mermaid scales with the lines being glittered. I have done quite a few mermaid peekaboos in my time, but usually I use glitter as the base layer, and I use like an alcohol ink or a mica powder over the top. So I have never I have when I first started doing tumblers, and that's why I now try to avoid doing double glitter where I can. But something as delicate as the line work in the mermaid scales, you will see if I hold it up. While I was lifting, try and stay in frame, Laura. While I was lifting the vinyl, we have lost, see, we've lost lines here, we've lost a lot of lines here, right? So I did lose some of my line work, right? There's a big section there that you can see, right, all around here, right, where we're missing our line work because it actually lifted up when I was removing the vinyl. So I'm going to go through real quick and just show you how I'm going to fix this, and then I'm not going to bother recording the rest of it because this is going to probably take me the rest of the day to fix. There is quite a few lines missing, but if you were to try this design, and anybody that watched Anna's lives when she was doing the mermaid and the leopard cup saw that she also had the same problem and she had to go through and fix her line work as well. This is how you do it. Now, I used Mod Podge, as you saw, to apply all of the glitter to begin with, but I have fixed the line work down the bottom just to show you here. Right, see this bit here, how that's quite raised, right? Because I've put Mod Podge and then more glitter over it. It actually does sit higher than the rest of the cup, right? When I do a glitter peekaboo and I do have to fix any of the little designs that may have lifted while I was doing the double glitter peekaboo, I try to avoid using Mod Podge to do my touch-ups as much as I can, just to avoid this from happening. So we're actually going to go back to the tacket to fix the line work. Now, if you have any of these little needle point bottles, right, I got mine from Danny at DJ Design. When I got mine, she only had 2 left. So I have dishwasher safe Mod Podge in one, and I have Tacket in my other one. Not Tacket, sorry, Liquid Fusion in my other one, because that's what I use to do like all my rhinestone work. So I don't actually have Tacket in a bottle. But if you have a needle tip bottle and you're doing line work like this, I highly recommend going with the needle top bottle, because then you can just apply. I'm not in that position, so we are going to use a very fine tipped paintbrush. Okay, we're going to start, let's start with the purple, because the purple isn't so bad. There are only a couple of bits, and I am left-handed, guys, so I'm sorry if I'm blocking the camera. But all of the shapes, obviously, because they're scales, all of them eventually all meet up to the others, right? So make sure when you're redoing your line work with the purple, not so bad. So I might do a teal. Oh no, here we go. Here's one of the purples. Right. When you're missing a big section like we've got in here, right, we want those two to join up. See? So make sure you're still keeping with the scale pattern. I'm not the best freehand artist in the world, but just try and keep your patterns looking like the pattern. Okay, so that is all of my purple done. What I'm just going to quickly show you on like this big patch here how to join it up if it's big sections that are missing, but I don't want to do it all at once, because when I'm dumping the glitter on, I don't want any of my purple glitter going into any tacket that might be down in the teal section. So once this is dry, I'll go back, I'll put all the glitter on, dry brush it, and then go back and do my teal. But just so I can show you, especially with this really big section here, try and do it in a way that I can show you and still see what I'm doing, right? So we know that this bit here needs to come down to meet there, right? From there, I know that this can come up to that join, and this needs to be joined up as well. That's one, right? Then I know that this is going to join up with this bit, and this is going to join up here. See? And that's how you start recreating your pattern. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to wait until the purple dries. I've just missed a spot here. Okay, I'm going to fix all of my line work up, and then we will be back to epoxy. And we're up to epoxy. We made it to the end. I'm gonna just peacock just for a second there because I'm quite proud. Okay, so I've gone through with the tacket, fixed up all of my line work, as you can see it coming around now, re-glittered, it's all dry, we're ready to epoxy. So I am using PPE, right? I'm not sure if I already mentioned it when we did the first layer of epoxy over the mica powders, but if you are using resin for long periods of time or long term, you do need to protect yourself with personal protection equipment. Now that means a half-face respirator mask with the interchangeable filters. You should be wearing eye goggles. I personally don't use eye goggles because I wear glasses, and for me it's one or the other. And gloves. Always wear gloves when working with resin. Now that my little safety spiel is out of the way, I am using Just Resin's Diamond Coat once again. It is a 1:1 ratio limited food safe resin. I have mixed up 30 mils. Now I did say in the beginning when we did the epoxy over the mica powders, I only mixed up 15 mils. Usually for a 20-ounce skinny I mix up 20 mils of resin. I have a feeling that this is going to be quite thirsty, so I have mixed up 30 mils in the hopes that that will be more than enough to give me a nice even first coat of resin, and then I can go ahead and customize and personalize it and then do my final coat from there. So oh, and I forgot to mention as well, I did spray seal after I had finished fixing it all up and it was all dry. I did spray seal because I didn't want my glitters having a nice mixer on the cup. And I just want to be super gentle as I go over that line work, because God forbid I lift up any of those precious lines that we've gone to all of those effort to fix. Such a pretty pattern though, isn't it? But yes, I can confirm now that we are on the final step of this tutorial. I am not a fan of doing the mermaid scales with the line work being glitter. I mean, if somebody asked for it, I would do it for them, but I don't think this will be something that I go out of my way to do in my spare time. It was a bit of a pain in the butt. I mean, the final product is absolutely gorgeous, and I have zero regrets there. But yeah, I don't think this is something that, you know, sitting around on a Saturday night with nothing to do, this wouldn't be the first thing that I went, hey, you know what I'm going to have a play with? It was a little bit more tedious And isn't that always the way? Like when Anna sent me the picture that we were going to use for inspo, I had a look at it and I said to her literally, oh, this looks easy. Yeah, I ate my words. It was quite tedious. Doable, definitely doable as you have seen, but a little bit tedious. So that looks like we are fully covered. Now I'm just going to push the epoxy back up around the rim of the cup. And if you can see, I only used about 15 mils, so it wasn't quite as thirsty as I thought it'd be. Still going to go through and thicken it up. I'm just going to use the whole 30 mils because we've got it mixed up and I've got no other projects awaiting resin. But probably didn't need the full 30. So the only thing that I have left to do now is hit it with a little bit of heat and let it even out and cure. And then that's me done. I did it. We did it. We made it. Congratulations to everybody that was following along and has attempted this for yourself. Well done. I can see that I've got my drip lines coming around there, guys. I am aware of that. That's what I meant by hitting it with heat. That will all even out for me. But, ta-da! This was my take on Anna's challenge for the very first Wing It With Anna. I am calling mine the Scattered Peekaboo because this is YouTube. Anybody that has been following along for her lives knows exactly what she's calling hers. And that's it. So, next week, or well, the 2nd of March, it's actually just over a week, but the 2nd of March we're starting the intermediate series in Aussie Tumbler makers. So the Wing It With Anna series will happen any week that I am not busy doing the intermediate series, but this was our first one. We are done. Thank you so much for following along. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons because all of my versions of the Wing It With Anna challenge will be on the channel and not live on Facebook. The live on Facebook portion is Anna's. Otherwise, it is Saturday on the day that I am filming this, so I hope you all have a wonderful weekend and a great week ahead, depending on when you're watching this. Congratulations, guys. We did it, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.